Good morning. Wow, Dragonfly. Dragonfly, you are on here bright and early. That's great. Yeah. Boom. When the system collapses. Gina, what system are you talking about? A system that I've talked about before. I'm going to flip this around, you all. And we're talking about there's lots of systems that are on the earth. There's financial systems, there's political systems, there's all kinds of systems. But this system is the system that can be found on earth. It can. When the system collapses, you can see like right here. And it looks kind of familiar. Scientists say the Atlantic current collapse could lead to extreme cold in Europe and South America. Extreme cold, but we're not supposed to be talking about that. Oh, but we are talking about that. And it reminds me of the other thing that could happen. I've read like 2 articles this morning. I woke up late. I must have been really sleepy. It could collapse as soon as 2025. The researchers are warning that the crucial ocean currents known as the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, AMOC, could collapse as soon as 2025. An impending climate change, fuel disaster, you see that fuel disaster, could usher in a new area of extreme temperature fluctuations. Sounds like the day after tomorrow when they were all meeting and they were talking about the exact opposite. And this one scientist wanted to get his data out, but they didn't want to hear it. They didn't. And then it happened, and they only had a few weeks to prepare. Then that reminds me of the catastrophic mutating event also. You know, there could be even more than one catastrophic mutating event that occurs on this earth within 2 years, like the WEF said, the World Economic Forum, that will occur. They said the word will. Will means it will happen. It wasn't the word might, because might means there's a possibility that some type of catastrophic mutating event will occur. No, they said will occur. Let me flip over to this right here. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to come over here. I was going to go upstairs, but I'm not going upstairs. I'm going to stay right down here. So I love the graphics. They like when you got really good graphics. Vital ocean currents could collapse by the mid-century. And you can see down here, hello, everyone. If you're just tuning in, Mickey Martin, honey. Hey, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. I don't think I could dance to that. I might be able to dance to that, but I don't think I would dance to that. I wouldn't. Let me flip it. Let me flip it, you all. We're going to flip it. All right. You're going to watch that.
Extreme weather patterns are becoming frequent across the world. And now a bigger threat seems to be on the rounds. A new study reveals that a vital system of ocean currents could collapse within a few decades due to global warming. And it can be as early as 2025. Scientists say that the collapse of this system could lead to disastrous weather conditions across the globe. But what is this system and how will it have a disastrous effect? Let me explain. Now, this ocean current system is called the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. It is a vital system of ocean currents that circulates water throughout the Atlantic Ocean. This circulation takes an estimated 1,000 years to complete, but has slowed even more since the mid-1900s. Now, how does this system work? The circulation movement is driven by differences in water density. So the AMOC is like a conveyor belt which transports, or rather carries, warm water.
Conveyor belt, the same term they used in The Day After Tomorrow, the collapse of the conveyor belt. So let's look at this.
Water from the tropics towards the North Atlantic. This is where the water gets cool and it sinks. It then returns to the tropics and then to the South Atlantic as a bottom current. From there, it is distributed to all ocean basins via the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, which is the most important current, the Southern Ocean, and the only current that flows completely around the globe. Now, how is this?
The Atlantic Current is the only current that flows directly around the globe, and it's collapsing. The water's already getting cooler there, and a lot more information. Good morning, Kelly. A lot more information is starting to come out.
Collapsing. As the oceans heat up and ice melts, more fresh water flows into the ocean and in turn reduces the water's density, making it less able to sink. When the water becomes too fresh and too warm or both, the conveyor belt stops. Now, what would be the implications of the collapse of the AMOC current? Now, since the current plays a crucial role in the climate system in helping to regulate global weather patterns, its collapse would have enormous implications. This includes much more extreme winters in the Northern Hemisphere and decreased rainfall over Europe. Sea level rises can affect parts of...
Share your thoughts, you all, on what you think about the collapse of the Atlantic current, that conveyor belt that goes all the way around. That's what we're talking about right now. The system on Earth collapsing, because it is collapsing. That's what we're talking about here, the collapse of the ocean current, which is really important. It is, because right now we have things heating up all around us. And according to this one scientist, lots of scientists throughout history, when the Earth heats up so much, it could plunge us into a mini ice age. That's what we're talking about on this platform at this video right now. You also share your thoughts on here about that, what's going on here, because it's important. It's really important to not be caught off guard.
Europe and the US, and this could influence the shifting of the monsoon in the tropics.
You're welcome.
Now, for more on this, we have with us Professor Peter Detlevsen. Now, Peter Detlevsen is a professor of climate physics at the University of Copenhagen's Niels Bohr Institute. Thank you for being with us, Professor. Could you explain to us this vital system of ocean currents, the possibility of its collapse within a few decades due to global warming?
Yes, you gave a very nice explanation of how this works and how it functions. And many people will mistake this for the Gulf Stream, which is also in the Atlantic, but that's driven by the winds. This is driven by buoyancy, as you say, sinking of heavy waters. And if that stops, and the reason that the waters are heavier in the Atlantic than in the Pacific is that it's saltier. So it's the salinity that really is the key feature, and that's why freshwater inflow into the North Atlantic might stop this conveyor. And that could give Northern Europe a climate like what you see on the similar locations in the Pacific, namely in Alaska and Northern Canada, where farming and livelihood is very, very different from what we have in Europe and in Scandinavia, where I am. So this imparts a lot on livelihood, and it's been known for many years that this can happen, and it has happened as long ago as in glacial times, and that's 12,000 years ago. So we are looking into something that we haven't seen in the time of civilization. So.
And Professor, is there a cause for alarm? Sorry to interrupt you, but what would the consequences be if this conveyor belt stopped?
Well, it would be a cooling in Europe, which some projections suggest that farming in England and Ireland and so on would be impossible. We have to compare that with, Alaska or northern Norway. But I think what is more important, since we're in some sense, if we get a cooling here as a consequence of global warming, that seems a little bit contradictory, and the warming might even ease this a little bit. However, this is still an alarm, because the heat that is not transported to the northern Atlantic, in case it stops the conveyor, stays in the tropics. And that's really where you have the big problems in terms of climate change. If the heat stays there, you might even imagine that, like you have in the Pacific, the hot pool around the western part of the Pacific, because it's not transporting in the same way heat northwards or southwards. That's part of the El Nino system, and the El Nino that's building up now is also causing a lot of the extreme heat we see in North Africa and in the Mediterranean right now. So this has big consequences, and the big difference from extremes that you see now and then, and which are unfortunately getting much more severe and much more frequent, as also Guterres was out saying yesterday. This is a switch that will be permanent. It's sort of you're crossing a tipping point, which is like a point of no return.
When the switch gets totally activated, you can't turn it off. You're crossing the it's a tipping point. It's the point of no return. When the system completely collapses, and it's just like that movie, The Day After Tomorrow. I think I might have that movie over here on a DVD. Even though I don't watch them, I do have some DVDs in this thing over here. Let me look at this. I want to see what's over here. Now, I don't watch these movies, but I thought I had something like that over here. I may not. Let me see this. I don't know what's over here, you all. I can't see it. I got the Tomb Raider. I liked that movie. Boom. The Day After Tomorrow. Gina, honey, why are you showing this when you're supposed to be doing the one thing? I don't know what happened to that movie. I had a movie, The Day After Tomorrow, I thought, over here, and I just can't find it. That's okay. You're not meant to find it. Gina, keep going with your video. Okay, I'm going to keep going with my video. You are. We're going to reach the point of no return. And then it's going to literally make it practically impossible to grow your crops in certain countries. You just heard him say that. Rosie, honey, what are you talking about down there? You just want to sit there enjoying us. Incoming planet, yep. They can call it whatever they want, but it's not going to stop what's coming. I've listened to one. I think I made it all the way through one of Dolores Cannon's things. I think it was like a couple years ago. I did. It's quite interesting. Well, that's me. We're talking about the North Atlantic Current. No, the South Atlantic Current, Gina. The conveyor belt is breaking, just like in the movie. And when the switch is hit, there's no turning the switch back on. You can't. It's broke. It's the only current system that goes around the whole entire world, and it's fueled by the water in the Atlantic, the water temperatures and stuff like that. The Gulf of Mexico is with the airstream and stuff. So let me see what else he has to say, because it's you're not hearing this, but you're going to start hearing this more and more, you all. Let's do this.
And that means that if you pass this tipping point, you have very, very short time in restoring the climate as we know it, which means that it sets a much stronger pressure in the speed at which we have to do the green transition and stop emitting more greenhouse gases to the atmosphere.
Absolutely. Professor, thank you very much for being with us on the show.
One would say it's already too late, between 2025 and 2095, we won't make it to 2095 at this rate, you all. We will not. The shutting down of the South Atlantic, is that what we're talking about? Or the Atlantic? Gina, honey, get your thing right. Okay. The shutting down, the AMOC, can have a various serious consequences for Earth's climate. The heat and precipitation globally. A cooling Europe may seem less severe as the globe or whole becomes warmer and heat waves occur more frequently. The shutdown will contribute to increased warming of the tropics, where rising temperatures have already given rise to challenging living conditions. You know, it's getting hotter. The Atlantic, it is all around the world because of this conveyor belt is shutting down. And they don't want to come out and say it, but something's causing it. Gina, honey, is something causing it? Well, there's lots of people saying something's causing it. See, look at this. Look at that earth on fire. No, we don't want to look at this. The earth is on fire, Gina, honey. It is. And we got some kind of system that's coming through here. My laptop's closed for now. There's a system that's coming through, and they say it's, it makes its rounds a lot, really, if you think about it. Without the end time itself, it's been making its rounds, and they can't stop the system from coming through either. They can't. And the ocean floor, it's spreading apart. It's opening up. Just like the big cracks that are occurring in the earth, there's something happening. There's great change that is occurring all around the earth. Rosie, honey, what are you doing up there on the counter? That's like the third time I've seen something on that would plunge us into colder temperatures and more extreme things, weather events all around the world. You cannot be prepared for everything. You can't, you all. It's like impossible. Because there's all kinds of things you can prepare for, tons of them.